So I want to give a quick overview on the tools you'll need and the techniques you'll use to use the traditional method of creating Shelter 2.0 parts. The idea is that you're using really accurate CNC tools to make templates that you then use with power hand tools to copy to make the parts. So the templates, you just kind of need one of each. They're hyper accurate, and you can just keep using the same templates over and over again in a situation where you don't have a CNC machine. You just don't have one. You don't have power. You don't have security, but you've got lots of excess labor. You've got people looking for something to do, and you can just keep adding more tools and more people, more warm bodies with tools, and you can just keep generating more and more parts. So the basic tool is a router. Um, they're a pretty common woodshop tool. Most people are used to this kind of a router. You just set the depth with the collar here, and you cut with it. Use for roundovers, all kinds of things. But if you use these template collars, which are basically just a ring that the bit goes through and centers, it centers the bit into the middle of the hole in it, and it has a shoulder here that runs against the template. So what it allows you to do is to go around the edge of a template and accurately make a copy. You can use this regular fixed base router and just keep changing the depth. But it's a pain to get the depth right each time. We use these little plywood cut depth gauges. You can adjust it till it's just right. So it's 1/4 inch depth, 1/2 inch depth, 3/4 inch depth, depending on the material. But you have to adjust it each time. It's easy to get it wrong. And you're you can't plunge with it. You can't drill with it very easily. So what we recommend are plunge routers. And it's the same motor, the same body, but it's mounted on this mechanism that lets you move up and down. And if it was just sort of freehand guessing, it would be one thing. But the thing that this also allows is you to accurately set using a stop rod and this rotating series of steps. You can accurately set the depth of cut. So you can have a location. This first step right here cuts 1/4 inch deep. The second one, let's release it. If you rotate this to the next step, it cuts 1/2 inch deep. And the third cuts 3/4. And it's adjusted by this little stop rod here that's adjusted, and you can really accurately set it depending on how far the bits extends from the collet and all that. You can set this adjustment, and there's a little micro adjustment screw on the bottom that you can turn so that you can just go all the way around. You can set it at the 1/4 inch setting, 1/4 inch depth, lock it, go all the way around, reset it to 1/2 inch for a second pass, go all the way around, and then if you're cutting 3/4 material, you could do 3/4, or whatever pass depth works for you. The other big advantage to the plunge router is that it lets you plunge. So you can use it like a drill press. So like in this is where these holes are where the splice plate bolts the rib sections together. And we've got holes drilled that are the same size as the outside of this bushing. So we can just drop that bushing into that hole, and it's now located. Turn the router on, plunge all the way down, drill a hole, lift it back up, move to the next one. And this gets you the accurate size hole that's centered where it's exactly where it's supposed to be. So plunge routers work really well. It's well worth it if you can come up with one. It's just a replacement base for a regular router. Some of them are integral, and they are just plunge routers. Hitachi makes one. A bunch of people make them. where it's just a plunge router. But these Dewalts I use, you can take the router out of it and put it in a regular base. If you want to use it for rounding over edges with a round over bit, there's a lot of routers really handy to have in the shop. So you can have just one router like this one and change bits if you want, but there are holes, like these holes that have the red rings around them are for 1/8" pilot holes for screws. So what I like to do, I like these little Dewalt 611 trim routers. I use them all the time, and I've got a bunch of them with different bits in them. But they make a base for it too, and you use an 1/8" bit, same stop collar, same everything, but it allows you to just keep one set up with 1/8" bit to do these pilot holes, and it's the same mechanism. You drill down, drill back up, and you set the stop with the same kind of mechanism. So that's a handy thing to have. A cordless impactor. You want to hold these things down securely into your material so they don't slide around when you're cutting. I love these cordless impact drivers, and they just use a replacement bit. So you just put the bit in, batteries are replaceable, rechargeable,